Thank you for joining us at Youthology Resources. You are joining us on all kinds of platforms, and for that, we are grateful. Maybe it's YouTube, maybe it's our iTunes podcast, maybe it's at our website and you're reading the blog from this great resource. But we just want to say thank you. The best way to find us, go to our social media, click on the link tree. You'll find us there on the link tree. All of our different formats are on Linktree. If you haven't seen that, that's a great resource, okay? So anyway, hey, this is part 2 from last week's episode on 7 ways youth ministry can fail the church. And what's critical is we just kind of gave you the 7 different ways that youth ministry can fail the church. Didn't get into it too deeply, but what we said last week was that we were going to follow up and deal with maybe 2 or 3 of those and dive deep a little bit, depending on your responses. And thank you for your responses, so many. And so what I did is I've put them into groups, and I'm going to deal with just 2 because I want to dig down in. We had a lot of questions across the board on these 2 areas, okay? So 7 ways on how youth ministry could fail the church. And basically what we did is we gave you those different ways. You can check on that last week. You can go see the blog from last week and you can download that manuscript. But I want to deal with just the 2 that you were wanting a little more information on, okay? So here they are. Number 1 was the youth leader's spiritual life. So what we said last week was one of the ways that youth ministry could fail the church is when youth leaders are not healthy. And let me make this statement first before I go into some practical ways to increase your health as a youth leader. The health of our youth leaders really is the determination to the health of our youth ministry, and then ultimately the health of our students, our youth who are going to be a part of the youth ministry. And so it makes sense that healthy youth leaders create healthy youth ministries that in turn create healthy youth. Got that? So that is sustainability. Talking about sustainability, we have to deal with the healthy youth leaders, okay? So let me give you 2 ways that youth leaders can create more spiritual health from their own standpoint, okay? Number 1, spiritual disciplines. Those spiritual disciplines are broad, okay? I want to give you some really practical spiritual disciplines, from reading the word and prayer and fasting, your own personal wellness, okay? That's all part of your spiritual discipline, your social wellness. So let me hit those real quick, okay? When are you praying? Have you set aside time to pray? When I ask youth leaders often, they will say something like, well, yeah, I'm praying often in the mornings, and then, if my schedule gets busy, then I pray in the afternoon. Sometimes they might even say, yeah, I pray every evening when I can, maybe when I'm putting the kids to bed, or I have this prayer meeting that I go to on Friday. I go to 2 or 3 campuses, and I'm involved in prayer groups there. That's all great, okay? Those are all supplemental prayers. I want to know, and I want to ask you, when is your dedicated primary time, not secondary, primary time for prayer? Because if you haven't set a time of prayer, you probably don't have a prayer discipline. You're praying in emergencies, right? You're praying in different settings. And listen, those are good. Those are all supplemental additional times of praying. But I want to know, when is your dedicated, set apart time of prayer? Is it 1 hour in the morning? Is it a half an hour in the morning, half an hour at night? Is it every day at lunch for 30 minutes? Whatever that looks like, okay? Reading the Bible. What is your reading plan? I'm not so concerned about having devotional time set aside from your sermon planning, because to be honest, sometimes that's a cycle for me. Sometimes I am creating messages At the same time, I'm doing my devotion time. And I know people have different opinions on that. I think you can do both. So when are you setting that aside? For me, it's in the evening. I do a late night study and preparation time almost every single evening around 11 p.m. till 1 a.m. That's all set for me because it's the best time for where I'm at in my life right now. What about fasting? Are you fasting? A cyclical fast, a stepped fast, not just 1 week at the beginning of the year. What about a disciplined fast that you are doing on a weekly basis or a monthly basis? I set mine aside every Friday. I fast every Friday, Thursday night to Friday night. There are sometimes I'll break that if I'm with people or whatever, and then I might even fast it that Thursday before or the Saturday after that, or whatever. But having regular weekly fasts, that's spiritual discipline. Let me get to the wellness area. Wow, this is so important. And wellness could be your social relationships, your sleep patterns. Are you going to bed at the same time? Are you waking up at the same time? What is your wellness pattern? Are you getting exercise? Because sometimes people, it's not that people aren't following you because of those other spiritual things. Maybe they're not following you because of your decisions that you're making in your personal life. So that we don't talk about that very often, do we? That's kind of, hey, stay away from that. That's, whether that's body type. Listen, I'm not body shaming here. But what about your health? What about your personal health? Are you overweight? Do you take care of yourself? I know we don't talk about that. We're not supposed to talk about that because it's personal. I don't think it's personal when you're a leader. When you're a spiritual leader, I think it's exemplary, not personal. You're modeling something with that discipline and that ethic to take care of yourself. So, and socially, are we little things? I think one of the spiritual disciplines is this social thing of getting people back, responding to people, emailing people, texting people, even if it's short. I'm busy. I know I'm busy too, but I know all of us, I talk often to leaders and people will say things like, man, I hate it when a leader doesn't get me back. Sometimes it takes 24 hours, right? Or whatever, but contact people back. I've been guilty of that. Especially when you get a lot of people that maybe want to talk to you or whatever, and sometimes it can be seen on your DM or it can be seen on your texting or your email that, boy, this person's not getting back to me. And sometimes it's taken me 48 hours or whatever, and maybe I've forgotten. But what is your ethic or your discipline to keep yourself accountable socially? Okay? All right. Hey, let me go to the second discipline. And I think I had 3 or 4 comments on this one, and I'm kind of glad because I think we need to get to this. And that is, one of the ways that youth ministry can fail the church is to have a mono strategy of reaching a diverse student. And what I mean by that is that our students in Gen Z are so diverse. And because of that, it's going to require youth ministry to have a mono strategy to reach that diversity in students. And I don't just mean racial diversity, but we're talking about educational diversity and social diversity. We're talking about faith diversity. What about just the kind or type of student that you are attracting? It could be the sectors that attend your youth ministry or that are in your area. Sectors like the skaters and the brainiacs and the jocks, and we have these circles or these social sets. And with just your youth leadership team, how am I planning to reach those people? I like to say it this way: all kinds of people can reach all kinds of people. Okay, now think about that. What I mean by that is this: if I tend to reach musicians and thespians and that crowd, if I tend to reach the artisans, then I need to have people around me who reach the athletes, or I need to have people around me who reach the brainiacs, or I need to have people around me who are great with the goths or the alternatives. You see what I'm saying? And so you can measure your mono strategy of reaching a diverse student by asking yourself, how many different kinds or types of leaders do I have surrounding me? Because I don't want to just reach my kind. I want my leaders to be so diverse that my leaders can attract different groups. My leaders can break into different sects, okay? Different sectors. Whether that is, as we said, racial or social or economic. I want students who can have conversations with middle class and lower middle class students that might be attending the youth ministry. That's a whole different set of problems at their home and, in their family set or just in their neighborhood that I may not be able to relate to. And that goes vice versa. That goes to the same with students who might have money and are of more means and have their own car and don't have to worry about finances. Do I have leaders that understand where they're coming from too? So when we talk about having a mono strategy to reach a diverse student, we're talking about youth ministries that are stuck in one way of ministering to students in that social stratus or racial stratus or economic stratus, whatever, okay? So I hope this has been helpful, that you have kind of gained some insight a little more strategically into those two areas. And as I said, I'm going to follow up with all of these and dig deeper into these 7 failures of the church. And one of the ways I'm doing that is through, you can watch it on YouTube, you can listen to it on iTunes, you can read the blog at youthology.com. But I just want to take about 1 minute here and let you know that the book is coming also. So the first youth ministry book, Youthology book, is coming. And it's all about the history, the theology, and the trends, the future of youth ministry. I'm so excited about it. The final edits are done. It is in publication. It's happening. It'll be out by the end of the year. Be looking for it on social media. But one of our chapters is dealing with this topic: how youth ministry can fail the church. So you're going to want to read that. It's almost, I think it's 35 pages in that chapter of dealing with all of these kinds of things. All 7 of these things are there, and we'll delve into some more detail there too. So, hey, thank you for joining us. Listen, you can listen to the music on the way out because I like this beat anyway. But if you go to our social media, you can join us at Linktree to find all the rest of our episodes on whatever topic that we cover each week. I will see you, hear from you, talk to you next week from Youthology Resources. Let the beat take us out.